Popcorn podcast. Red leather, yellow leather.
You missed the part where I told him not to tip over.
And I won't
Roll for your country. Roll for each other.
for all the people who never believed in you. As one. As one.
Joel, congratulations on The Boys in the Boat. What an incredible film.
Thank you.
Was there ever a Joel in the boat? Maybe an interest in rowing that got you interested?
There was
in
a
this
Joel in a
project?
kayak once. There was a Joel on an inflatable My Little Pony. What are they called? Pool pony?
Yeah.
Joel on a pool pony.
Great.
Pool pony. I remember actually once going down to Tasmania, and I'd been told that I was going down to go on a whitewater rafting journey, which I assume was just the river carries you down. And I arrived there after flying from London on a long haul flight, and went to this briefing, and it wasn't whitewater rafting. It was a 25-kilometre kayak
Someone
journey in
stitched
the
you up.
ocean with the Mark Webber extreme challenge.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's very different. Whitewater rafting versus kayaking on the ocean.
Yeah.
And I did it, and by the end of it, I had arms that felt like they'd been stuck on me by a gorilla. Yeah, but never sculling, never this kind of rowing.
So were you nervous when George called you and said, hey, come along for the ride for this? What hooked you in?
I remember the first time he called me, I was like, oh shit, I've got to talk to George. And for some reason, I felt nervous about it. And then he followed up with this, and he told me the story, and I was like, this is one of those great sports stories that I'd never heard about. You know, maybe if you're American, you might have heard about it. Definitely, if you've ever been in a rowing program, you would know about this story. But it felt like one of those true life sports stories. You're like, oh yeah, of course you got to make a movie about this. It's sort of like perfectly built for it.
And
Yeah.
the boys went through real training to become Olympic rowers. What kind of training did they put you through to become the coach?
No training at all.
You're just a natural.
Yeah, I actually, I just grimace my way through a movie. I did some training on a single scull and appreciate how hard it is and the balance of a single scull, like an old period, original period boat. There were a couple of shots we did of me going out to check the river, and even though I was rowing slowly, I had to look like I really knew what I was doing. But these guys went through 2 months of training before we rolled cameras.
Wow.
And then we would shoot for like 8 or 9 hours, and then they would all have to go off and row so they could keep their physiques. The shooting was, all out of order, but all the rowing sequences were kind of designed so that as they got better, it headed towards the final race, which was the race in Berlin at the Olympics.
Smart.
And they got good. I think there was one moment where they raced against some other boys that were professional rowers, and George had told the other guys to slow down. They needed these guys to win. And when they won, they were like, we just blew past these professional rowers. Like, maybe we're really good. George was like, I told them to slow down. But it was all about the look of it, and they got very good.
Yeah.
Well, they felt good for a minute, and that's all that matters.
All you got to do, you go sort of between action and cut. Yeah.
Now, most of us had a teacher or a coach growing up that I guess helped pave a life that we live now. Was there any coaches or teachers that you really looked up to that you think back on even today?
Yeah, look, absolutely. I mean, I had tons of coaches, and they all kind of were varying degrees of Ulbrickson. Those guys that looked like they were slightly unhappy all the time, and so therefore you wanted to do better to please them. But I had an incredible teacher. I had a couple of really great teachers when I was at school. One of them, who's no longer on the planet, was an art teacher of mine, Arthur Dixon. He was just one of those people that was very much like a Dead Poets Society kind of figure. A little bit of tough love, but always a reservoir of warmth underneath. But somebody that was very impressive and really understood each individual separately, and even though he was a teacher, really kind of put kids on the same level as him. Yeah, he was a very pivotal person for me.
Your character's inspirational speeches start off pretty woeful, and
Yeah.
they get better as the film goes on.
Yeah.
Could you indulge us and give us your best terrible pep talk?
Best terrible pep talk. would be all stats, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. How many podcasts have you done? How many episodes?
350, yeah,
something.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is this is your 350th podcast. Just don't talk over the top of each other.
It's good
Hope
advice.
that you have at least a couple of listeners. Don't be afraid of swearing. Wear comfortable shoes.
Wear comfortable
Don't
shoes.
fuck it up.
Yeah, I usually am barefoot if
Yeah,
we're
that's
doing it at home.
That's great advice.
Yeah,
There
keep
you
the
go.
squabbling at
Yeah.
home too.
Yeah,
Don't do it in front of the talent.
that's good.
I didn't say I was talented. I was just don't do it in front of the talent.
Right, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You're an accomplished writer and director yourself. What's it like collaborating on something like this with George Clooney as a director? Because you're kind of walking a similar path as well.
Yeah, George, you really need to carry George, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm going to have to direct this movie in the shadows as well.
yeah.
Uncredited.
Yeah,
on the track.
I have to direct myself. Look, the worst case scenario for working with an actor director is they're gonna, tell you how it's done or show you what they would do, like act out every character, which would be awful, which didn't happen. The best directors have a sense of how to talk to crew and get the best out of the machine and, all the different departments, but also have this sort of care and attention of actors. It's amazing how many directors are either scared of actors, don't know how to talk to them, or hate them. Like they're a means to get their movie made, and they're like,
Is that you? You're talking about you? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, actors can be a punish, and you can see why they're frustrated. Well, a lot of directors would be like, even though it would take longer, I should just do animation because drawings won't talk back to me the way you do and demand all this shit. But actors that direct do appreciate what it takes to give a performance and what needs to go into it, and therefore hopefully too they understand how they like to be talked to as an actor, and they will talk to actors in that way. And so we had a pretty easy time, but I felt very trusted by him.
That's great.
And I had a good time.
This is going to be a pretty pivotal project for Callum Turner. Like, he's done an amazing job in this.
Yeah, I mean, he got to work with me.
Yes. Well, looking.
Is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Reading
Well,
between the lines.
Looking back on your career, is there a certain project for you that you thought, oh, this is it, I'm really hitting my stride, or this is the big one for me?
I thought that about all my early films. I'm like, this is it, I'm going to have a movie career now. And then I, realised that, only like 38 people saw the movie and it wasn't going to turn me into a movie star. I think the thing that was pivotal for me that changed things was not until I was in my 30s, when I was doing the year we did Animal Kingdom and Warrior. And it was finally, even though it didn't make a lot of money at the box office, it was a movie that a lot of people in Hollywood saw, and it opened a bunch of doors for me. But the other one was Star Wars. Even though I'm in it for like 48 seconds, the fact that I was in it kind of created a lot of opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Joel, we've loved talking to you. Congratulations again on the film. In wrapping up, what is it, do you think, about elite sport that captures the hearts and minds of a nation or the world so much? We saw it recently with the Matildas.
Yeah.
And in your film, everyone's huddled around the radio, just taking it all in, cheering on. What do you think it is?
It's weird how, divided we all are a lot of the time about all sorts of things and political issues and race. And then sport comes along and everybody gets behind it. And all those things that we see that are different about each other kind of dissolve. Because then we want to go to war with the country that's going to play against the Matildas, so that we're all together and now we're against you. And each stage of the development of a team, like in this film, it's like a regional thing that then, a state college that then goes to the nationals. It's like, and then the whole country gets behind them. And I think it's a nice story to see, for a reminder that we all actually can put stuff aside in order to all, root for the same thing. And I think it says a lot about empathy, that's part of our nature, that we sort of put a lid on it too often.
Very well said. Thank you so much for your time, Joel.
Thank
Really
you.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
appreciate
So
it.
lovely to meet you.
podcast.